Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The minutes are approved. Thank you, Megan. You did a really nice job, as usual. Okay. The first thing we need to do is to discuss and comment on the 87 Elm Street proposal to remove the building and build a new sort of condominium complex. And I think I can show you a picture of the existing building and the other, and the new one. I'll do see what happens. I hope I don't lose it. Okay, that's the existing building. And I think this is the new one.
Jackie, we don't see anything.
You don't? Oh, I know. I have to share it. Let's see.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Does this come up for a town meeting vote, or is this just a zoning issue?
You know, I don't know. Let me just take this out. I have to, and take this out. And, oh, you know, gosh, I have to share it. Oh, here, let me see the Zoom. Uh-oh. Zoom meeting. Okay, I have to do here, share screen. Okay, so you can see the existing building.
Let me interject again. The
Yeah.
reason I prefer to know, if this is zoning or planning. I know it's planning.
It's planning, yeah. We're looking at a special permit and site plan review application.
Okay, so ultimately it winds up in front. So after it goes through planning, it does go in front of the ZBA. And this is a property that's already gone through that process once.
Yeah, I was just asked to present this to the Historical Commission because this is part of their process, is to get comments.
Okay, and what I'm suggesting is I'd move that we follow the recommendations of the planning board.
Well, they want our comment on, because they're removing a historical property. This was the Edwin F. Souther house, and they need to be sure that we don't think they're destroying a very historical, significant building, which it actually is not. So I feel comfortable in having them remove it, but I have to get your take on that.
And this property, that building and the land it sits on was part of the larger scheme of the development on James Lane. So this is, and that was very impacted development process.
It's a different developer.
It's totally different. It's part of the 124, the Cohasset Harbor Inn is being taken down, and this whole new.
We're talking about down in the harbor, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on James Lane, I thought that was.
No, it's not James Lane. It's Elm Street, Margin Street.
Gotcha.
It's the Cohasset Harbor Inn, and it's that strange building with the diamond-shaped paintings. I think I just showed it to you.
Right.
It was the hairdressers a long time ago.
Yeah,
Right.
it was a candy shop.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the candy shop was next door, but I think it was for a long time. It was like a gym, and it was a hairdresser. I think.
Yeah. And
Mark, that was a candy store.
Yeah,
Back in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all kinds of things. But anyway, it is being taken down, and they want our approval of that. Does anyone have any qualms about removing that building?
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
I read just about everything that had been filed.
Right.
One concern has to do with lights. And they mentioned that the lighting will not be an issue because it'll all be low to the ground. But the condos have people in them and they'll have lights. And I question how much of that will impact the view. It's going to be a very big building. And I don't know about how the lights are going to affect the appearance. That's number one. Second, the way I read the plans, the view from Elm Street to the harbor is merely a view, and that doesn't have any access provided to anyone other than the people who live there or who work there or will be visiting the businesses that are supposed to be there. And I believe that's on the north side of the building.
See, I'm not sure
well.
exactly what. Now, there will be a space between the north building and the south building that will give a view of the harbor from Elm Street. So they're saying that, you know, that's an improvement over it's being completely blocked now. Is that?
No, what I read from the plan was on the north end, on the Margin Street side.
Yeah.
That would be the view corridor when I looked at the plan. I could be wrong. The other part on the south side, that already exists. That's where Veterans Park is.
Right, but I think the view is between the two buildings, so that when you are on Elm Street, on the long part of Elm Street, looking there, you will be able to see the harbor, and there should be public access. They plan to have a 20,000 square foot park. I think maybe that's too much, but they do plan to have
the access is the walkway, all along the harbor, but I don't believe there's access from Elm Street through the building to that 20,000 foot
park.
That's exactly
walkway.
right. That's exactly right. And that's the sliver. That view is a sliver.
Well, I think there is access through the opening because see.
That's not the way I read it. I could be wrong. One of the other issues that I had with the walkway along the harbor was the question of who's going to maintain it, and it could be maintained by the condominium association. That's a possibility, or something called Cohasset Land Trust,
right?
Which is probably what they mean is the Cohasset Conservation. I think that needs to be clarified. Who's taking care of that Captain's Walk?
Now, actually, we're not officially being asked to comment on that. We're being asked to comment on the 87 Elm Street, the west building, so-called. You may be.
Oh, okay, the one across the street?
Yeah, the one across, the small one across the street.
But I'll just interject one concern that I have.
Okay.
For the old Kimball's building, or whatever, the Cohasset Harbor Inn, from a historic standpoint, that's a major change in the use of the harbor. It had never been used in that way for basically residential. I think the mass of the building is not within what I consider an appropriate use or change in the harbor. I think it's too darn big.
Well, they're asking for this special permit because it is a mixed use. It's partly mostly residential, but partly commercial. They'll each of the buildings will have a retail space. And then there'll be, in the summer, there'll be kiosks, so for selling various things, whatever. So it's going to be partly retail, mostly residential.
Nothing that I saw indicated there had been any marketing analysis done on that. And so often we hear, well, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. How do they know? What's the demand, quite frankly, for kiosks in the harbor? And where are those people going to park?
Well, there is parking. They go into great detail on parking. There is surface parking. There's residential parking under the buildings. But there is also there are parking spaces outside that shoppers can stop at. So they have a lot of detail on the parking. if you look.
Jackie, have you been down to the harbor lately?
Yeah, I walk there all the time.
Okay, well, this weekend and last weekend, there's absolutely no parking available right now in the harbor. It's all along Border Street. It goes around. They're double parking, well, not double parking, but they're parking on margin. And from what I can tell, there isn't an awful lot going on in the harbor at the moment. And this is in the afternoon. So anyway, my point is, yes, I read it, and I have some questions about the presentation. As far as the property across the street, I don't have great objection or comments on that part of Elm Street. It's the massing of a building at the end of Elm Street, right at the harbor site that used to be Kimball's,
Right.
that I think is inappropriate from a historic standpoint. That's
Well, okay, but I think we need to address the 87. So how about, Mark, do you have any thoughts on 87 Elm Street?
You know, I read the proposal as well. The only, I guess, you know, I didn't realize there were that many units already in that building.
Yeah.
So I knew people would live there. I just didn't realize there were that many units. I mean, my personal opinion is it would be a shame to see it go as being part of that harbor historic district. But if it hasn't really retained any of of what would be considered historic other than a building there, you know, it's, you know, why stop progress?
Right.
You can't really stop something because it's not really that important. It's just a shame to see a building like that go.
Well, I think the building itself is uninhabitable, they say, and I did walk back there. It does look pretty much abandoned, although people may live there, but it's not. It doesn't look like it's a place you'd want to live in, and they will have, you know, it will be residential. As for the historical part of that building, it's certainly been terribly changed with that strange facade.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like a 70s facade on the front of what you can see in the back as like an old original house. And I think the original house was built in 1897, if I used macros.
No, well, they said probably before 1876, but nobody knows for sure.
Okay.
And it's been, I guess it's been used for 5 apartments. So it's hard to believe that there are actually 2 buildings there.
Okay.
There's the main house, and then there's another building with a couple more apartments, and they must be tiny apartments.
So it's not preservable if you take off that ugly facade?
No, it's not, to me, it's certainly not worthwhile.
I see.
You know, I think it'll be a better use for it when it's rebuilt or redeveloped. Noel, do you have a thought on 87 Elm Street?
It's been probably over 30 years since I went to parties in any of those decrepit units. But I'm pretty sure that my recollection is that's not a substantial building for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
However, I think the whole project, I don't think you could ask 2 people and get the same answer if they were asked to describe this project, regardless of what side of the street you're talking about. And that includes this particular building location. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know where they're going to put all the parking for.
Well, they've really thought that out very thoroughly. And if you look at all the, it's called active planning. I don't want to go through it now, but anyway, if you look through the active planning, whatever it is, I can show, well, I'm not going to do it now, but there are many illustrations, plans for the parking, for what the units are going to look like, the floor plans.
Why, you know, is it impossible to ask them to make their presentation to us as opposed to us deciphering what their plans are through whatever?
They had an open hearing. If you read your packet, that the application that we were given, they had an open hearing, something like July 8th or something like that.
When did I get notice of that?
Well, you did. If you'd read the material, this one that we all got. I mean, it's a part of that package that was on the link that you were given.
Oh, when did we get that?
You got it twice. I sent it to you as soon as I got it, so that you would read it and be prepared for it. And then it was also on the agenda.
I don't see. Yeah, I don't remember seeing.
It was there.
But typically, in a project process like they're going through, they'd come before the commission and make their pitch. And I understand in the time of COVID, you know, their adjustments have to be made, but I just don't see this as being the greatest process for making a decision about the worthiness of their plans.
Well, they've had a hearing, and I think they would, I don't know if they have to go before town meeting, but I would think that, you know, we're not the only ones. They just need to be assured that we have no objection to the removal of an old building.
I don't have enough information to make a decision, so I'll just, you know.
Okay. I would.
I'll
I have
abstain.
no objection.
Okay, I'd like to have someone make a motion that we, guess, accept the site, the plans for 87 Elm Street.
I move that we accept the plans for 87 Elm Street.
And is there a second?
I
I'll
second.
second it. Okay. All those in favor of
Aye.
accepting the plans? And opposed?
Aye.
There's one. Okay. Okay, one abstention, one objection.
No, Jackie, I didn't object. I said aye.
Oh, aye. Okay, I thought you
I
said.
didn't get in fast enough. Sorry.
Okay, okay. So there's one abstention and 4 yays. Okay. Okay.
I'm a yay.
Oh,
I'm a yay if there's no way to, if it's just so long gone. I'm a yay.
it's not really a building that you would miss once it's gone, frankly. It's not architecturally significant, and even historically,
But you know, this would be the opportunity normally where you would try to extract concessions from the developer to pursue the objective of whatever commission you're on. Ours being historical, I don't know if that's, you know, something that we've considered thus far this year or when this project began. And I think it's been really difficult to discern what these guys are doing. They're very late in delivering images and plans of what they're going to build down there. 29 units is what I am told.
right. But
That's between the two.
okay, what was that, Susie?
I'm sorry, it was between the two buildings, the 29 units, correct?
Yes, altogether. Altogether, right.
There's 60 units of one bedroom, not even one bedroom, motel units, 60 motel units.
There were 55 motel units, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. They're going to build 10 units in the 87 Elm Street and 19 units in the 124 Elm Street.
Well, you know, if you're that much enthused with it, so be it. I'll just stick with my abstention.
Okay, good. So if you can record that, Megan, for the minutes, that would be great. All right. Moving on, I want to update you on the oil house project.
So what do we actually just vote on? What was just to accept the plan?
To accept the plan for 87 Elm Street, and we're not dealing with 124. That wasn't what we were asked to do.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. For the oil house project, that's coming along pretty well. It's a little slow. Mason and Lee and Jennifer, they have another assistant, will be coming back this week when it gets a little cooler, and they hope to complete it this week, which would be great. It's looking good. Mason repointed the interior, and that wasn't even part of his contract, but he said that, you know, it would be easy enough for him to do so. He's repointed the interior. He's almost completed repointing the exterior, and they've scraped the old paint off of the trim, and they expect to hopefully paint that if weather permitting. So, and I did ask about the foundation. He said, you know, the brick foundation is solid. And I look back over our notes, Bob Hoyler, the geotechnical engineer, inspected the oil house back in October of 2018, and he saw no indication of any foundation problems. He said the brick walls are well supported, so there's no issue there. When the house is completed, a couple, maybe 10 days ago or so, Chris Sr. asked me to go meet him on the common with Don Roynes, I guess, of 143 TV. And Chris is launching this Cohasset Commons series on Cohasset. And he wanted me to talk a little bit about the American Revolution. And we were there, you know, First Parish Meeting House and so forth. And it was about a 10-minute segment. I haven't seen it yet, but I was thinking maybe when the oil house is finished, he could do a segment on Government Island, and we could show off the oil house on 143 TV, if you think that's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I did watch the American Revolution presentation. It
Oh,
was
did
very
you?
nice.
Was it good? I haven't seen it. Okay.
My only comment, well, it's a criticism, is that the cars kept going by, and it would have been nice if they just stopped traffic for your presentation. But it was very nice, and the common looked great.
Okay, well, thank you.
And the rest of it was very good too. It was Kathy O'Malley and Phil Mahoney.
Okay, good.
Down at the Pratt Building. So it was a nice presentation. Well,
they repeat this, so we can all have a chance to see it. I suppose you can look it up on online to see when 143 TV airs various things, I guess. But anyhow, so we could do that. Then the Fisherman's Well project. That's the Granite Round, as I mentioned to you before, I think I emailed you, has been engraved, and all the cobblestones have been purchased, and right now they're being kept for safekeeping at the DPW. I called Jason Federico, who's at Town Hall, and he's the field engineer for the town, and I asked him to prepare a set of specs so that we could give it to a mason to set it into the ground and make sure it's secure. And he said, well, he'd do that. And he said, IREA is going to be doing some work in that area. And he would ask them to come over to just stop over at the Sydney Square Green and install it for us. So I think that would be good. I don't know when that's going to happen. I emailed Jason and I haven't heard back from him, but I'm sure it will get done eventually. You have to be patient for all these things. So, and Susie mentioned celebrating after we can all really get together again after the pandemic, and that would be a nice idea.
good.
So does anyone have any other business they would like to discuss?
The oil house, I asked you to talk to him about whether he had pointed below grade.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
It appeared as though he had not pointed the walls on the inside below grade. So after he pulled up the floor,
Yeah.
it appears he put the new floor back without pointing, and it desperately needed it, the interior subsurface wall.
No, I don't think it did need it. That's the foundation. And Hoyer said that, Hoyler said that the foundation was fine. There were no problems.
You see,
And
Jackie was looking at the
well
exterior.
supported. What?
At the exterior.
Well, he wasn't even supposed to do, he was just supposed to take up the floor, the part of the floor, just a portion of the floor, and relay it so that the whole floor was level. He didn't take up the whole floor.
Right. Okay, well, it's up to you, but it just is unfathomable to me that he wouldn't have appointed it.
Well, he's a very good mason. I have no question whatsoever that he's doing the right thing. He's extremely experienced, very skilled, and I think they're doing a beautiful job. Has anyone, have the rest of you gone down to see it?
I've seen the, well, I think it was a couple of weeks ago that I went down and looked at the door, which I think looks great. And at that point, a lot of the pointing hadn't been done. So I don't know how many,
They've done
I don't know how long ago it was, but I was much encouraged that work was being done. So
it's being done. And the pointing is beautiful. I mean, it really looks very good. It's a breathable mortar. They're doing, I think, a great job on this. It'll be wonderful when it's finished.
some of it had been done, and some of the old mortar had been taken out when I was there. So I was quite pleased to see. I mean, he's going to do a fantastic job, no question. Right. I'm glad we have him.
Yeah.
Took out that corner I put in. Thank God.
Well, they're fixing some of the broken brick is being replaced on the building, so it'll look really good. So, does anyone have anything else they wish to discuss? If not, we can go back.
Can I move? We adjourn?
Yeah, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Are we doing James Lane? No, wasn't there a James Lane thing?
No, that wasn't for us.
It wasn't.
No.
Okay.
Okay, just 87 Elm.
Gotcha.
Okay. It's been moved, and has someone seconded that we adjourn? Yes.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, and we'll see you in September.
All right.
Thank you.
That'll
Have a good summer, everyone.
Okay.
You in September.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Night.